Jermall Charlo got to stop being a thought for Canelo Alvarez. It doesn't make no sense. In one instance, Jermall Charlo be like, I'm ready to fight whoever, let's get it. And then they ask him to call somebody out. And he'd be like, well, whoever, you know what I'm saying? He refused to call somebody out. That's why people chewed him up alive when he was on Mike Tyson's podcast, because he refused to call out people. OK, now, if there's a Caleb Plant fight on the floor, why wouldn't you jump at that opportunity? Because you don't have no names that's going to put you in a position to get that fight. And this is the whole thing with Jermall Charlo. OK, he constantly talk about, let's get it. I'm willing to fight whoever, but you won't call nobody out, and you ain't fighting nobody except people that they barely heard of, or people who got steamrolled by other opponents that you should be fighting. That's exactly how it goes. See, what Jermall don't understand is that you can't keep begging for a Canelo fight without putting yourself in a position of worth. You need some worth behind that. You still trying to taint him and hold him. Listen, he gave up a belt to you. All right. Now, we already talked about that and, step aside franchise champion, whatever that crap, we already know what that is. But this is the point. That's to let you know that he's seen no worth in you and he didn't want to take that risk. OK, that's fine. We always talk about that. But the thing is this. In the meantime, in between time, what do you do to up your value so people can start talking about conversations with you, with Canelo Alvarez? What have you done to improve your situation? And that's what people are looking at. And it's absolutely nothing. OK, Jermall Charlo has been spared off of the whim of being a baiting tool to help loop Canelo Alvarez in to a multi-fight deal. OK, that's why Jermall Charlo has been kept where he's at and been preserved. OK, this is the difference between him and his brother. OK, because JERMELL, he hasn't had the cover of protection. JERMELL has been actually thrown to the wolves quite a few times by PBC. OK, and that's primarily because you guys have no fan base. OK, there's no crowd that you actually appeal to. OK, they're reserving the Texas area and the Texas fan base. They want that for Errol Spence. OK, then they look at JERMELL and then they look at Jermall. Jermall has been set aside as a looping deal for Canelo Alvarez, a package deal. So that's why Jermall has been getting paid great for fighting nobodies. And the problem is he's got used to that. Now, JERMELL, on the other hand, has been out there in the wind. And JERMELL has talked about it a few times, especially the time when he had to fight Lubin. When they gave Lubin that special and stuff like that. And JERMELL was like, why they giving him all this attention? Why does he get the special and all this other stuff and blase splee and this, that, and the third? Because in all actuality, they was banking on Lubin to win. OK, but JERMELL has fought his way through the fire. OK, he just continued to win. The same thing with the Tony Harrison thing. He claims the same thing. That's because they don't have a fan base in which you guys appeal to. OK, you guys irritate both sides. OK, you guys really don't fall in the, well, you're not going to fall in the Canelo Alvarez fan base. And then you done pissed off the, let's say, the Deontay Wilder or Errol Spence fan base. So you guys is just out there. And part of that is because of the attitude that's shown. Now, even though I like that relentless attitude, it aggravates and it pisses a lot of people off. I know this personally just by being an honest person. You know what I'm saying? I irritate everybody, at times, and that's just for people who can't take the truth. But that's a side note. OK, but the thing is now, Jermell has gotten so used. Jermall has gotten so used to getting paid very well for doing nothing that he literally don't want to do anything that's going to help his situation. And in comes the problem. OK, see, Canelo Alvarez losing, OK, was so beneficial to boxing. But what it did was it dropped the floor out of the plans for what they had for Errol Spence and Jermall Charlo. OK, now PBC got to reroute, and they don't want to reroute. Okay? Because they've been banking on hooking in Canelo. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, Canelo is hit. All right? And everybody knows that. So now they're looking at JERMELL like, okay, well, what do we do with you? Okay? Now, it's no mystery that the Selecki fight fell through, because that's either one of a few things. And that would simply be because they're tired of paying you great money for fighting nobodies. You were probably going to struggle and if not lose to Selecki, and nobody was interested. It's one of those things, if not all of them, and they don't want to pay you for that because they don't have the money to keep throwing at you to keep you on ice for Canelo Alvarez, because Canelo Alvarez just messed up the situation. As you can tell, because that's the same thing that's going on with Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence, but I'll get to that later. All right. But JERMELL, on the other hand, has not had that cover of protection. They done threw him out there to the wolves plenty of times. He just came back leading the pack. That's all it is. Now, here, if you could have a chance to fight Caleb Plant, which is one of the tools that you use to get your name talked about. It's the same way Manny Pacquiao got the Floyd Mayweather fight. He went and fought the people that fought Floyd. So the conversation was brought up, well, how does he do with Floyd? But you don't even want to do that. And Caleb Plant is one of them. And in one instance, you'll say, let's get it. And then you'll dismiss them and say, they might as well give me Canelo. Stop acting like a thought for Canelo and actually fight somebody. Now, Andrade wasn't good enough. Then you promised to fight Daniel Jacobs, I don't know how many years ago. You never delivered on that fight. And those are two people that both Selecki has fought. That's why I thought that this is going to be a struggle for you, if not a loss, to be honest. So you willing to fight the person who you say is not worth it, like somebody like Andrade, but you don't want to fight Demetrius Andrade, when you know that that will get the eyes and the attention on you and the conversation talking. And don't even get me started with David Benavidez. The whole world know that Jamal ducking and don't want no parts of David Benavidez. Do something in which you know Canelo is afraid to do. Force the issue. And then when you look at David Benavidez, although he's on PBC, he's saying also he wants Canelo, but this is the difference. He's also saying, hey, Jamal, I want to fight you. Hey, Demetrius Andre, I also want to fight you. I'll take whoever in the meantime, in between time, on top of I want to fight Canelo. That's how Jamal should be talking. But he doesn't talk like that. So since Canelo Alvarez is lost and everybody's scratching their head, well, what do we do now? Well, what do we do now? Well, we really don't want to give him the Terrence Bud Crawford Errol Spence fight. We had Jamal sitting over here reserving him just for Canelo. Just like they did with Leo Santa Cruz and Gervonta Tank Davis. They've been sitting you over to the side just for that. They've been paying you great just for that. And now Canelo then took that loss, and you know what I'm saying? Everybody, you know what I'm saying? All the stuff is up in the air. And they no longer want to pay you this good money for fighting somebody like that. On top of who's going to be interested about that. On top of, if you go and look at the video between him and Brian Custer, just go in the comment section. You think they don't look at that stuff? They see what people are saying, and nobody is interested. Nobody cares. They just look at you, make an excuse. You got a bad taste. You left a bad taste in boxing fans' mouth. And they don't want to swallow it no more. So therefore, they don't want to pay you no more. So is it really a back injury? I seriously doubt it. Because it's one of those three or four things, if not all of them simultaneously together. And I believe it's all of them. But if you have the opportunity to fight somebody like Caleb Plant, why don't you roll with that? Why you keep dismissing these people like they're nobodies? But check this, while fighting nobody. Let me say that again. You keep dismissing these people like they're nobodies while fighting nobodies and fighting the people that you call nobodies have fought. That don't make no sense. You like a dog chasing his tail, just round and round you go. But you're not making any ground. And you won't do anything to better your situation. That's the difference between you and your brother. And your brother becoming undisputed just puts you under the microscope even more. Scrutiny even more. It's even more obvious what you have not done. It's even more obvious the people that you have been fighting. And being that you got these ambitious young guys, the Shakur Stevensons, the Devin Haney, even the Teofimo Lopez, you know, risking it all and doing it all, it's making you guys that's above them, that's older than them, they're making you guys look bad. And guess what? The boxing world has now got a taste of that. Due to the Devin Haney, you know what I'm saying? And due to even his brother, JERMELL CHARLO. People are looking for undisputed. People are looking for good fights now. The tables are slowly turning to where people are actually going to have to put up or shut up or sit down. The tide is actually shifting. You know what I'm saying? It's slow and people are getting in the way, but it is shifting. Because now we're seeing and people are saying, hold on, these fights are, this stuff is possible. This stuff can be done. If these new school guys is doing it, you know what I'm saying? The young crop is doing it. Why haven't y'all been doing it? It puts a microscope on all of y'all and it puts a mirror up in your face. Because they was like, well, damn. Devin Haney undisputed at 23. You know what I'm saying? You got your brother over here. You know what I'm saying? You got all of everybody's ambitious now. Cool boy Steph is talking about going for undisputed. You know what I'm saying? The tide is switching up. And you finna get drowned in the water, but you're not trying to improve your situation at all. Why not fight a Caleb Plant? Why not? Why are you trying to put him down? And then say, let's get it, but you won't call nobody out. But you'll keep Canelo Alvarez's name in your mouth constantly. Knowing that fight ain't nowhere in your near future. So what are you gonna do in between time? Keep fighting the Seleckies and stuff like that. That's why I said it before, back when you was fighting the Hugo Centennials and all that other stuff. It's interesting to see what they do from you from here on. Because ain't nowhere else to go. Eventually, you're going to have that sit down and be like, look, you're going to have to fight something. Because it's at that point now. So you could keep being a thought for Canelo Alvarez. It's not going to protect you. And since you've been sharpening up your iron with plastic, you're not acclimated to fight these guys. Selecki's been in there with him. You know what I'm saying? And he just wasn't in there laying down for anybody. So it was a possibility your ass could have lost. Because that Cornball fight, first of all, made the people who did believe in you have no faith in you. And your team is looking like, I don't know. Because you can't keep fighting this low-level opposition and think you're going to be of par when it's time to do that. They probably figured you was going to lose altogether. That's what I was thinking. I was like, you know what? I think Selecki possibly could beat your ass. That's what I've been thinking, to be honest. A lot of people didn't want to see the fight, but guess what? I actually did want to see the fight. Because I think you was going to struggle. And can't nobody tell me different with what you've been doing. And this is the thing. It's not like Jermall not talented. I keep saying Jermall got one of the best 1-2s in the game. He do. But what does that mean when you're not trying to challenge yourself? You just going to keep sitting around and say, how much more can you sit around? You in your 30s. With absolutely nothing to show for it. That's the difference between Jermall and his brother. Because JERMELL did not have that cover of protection. They didn't have him in the loop for no Canelo package deal. That's why Jermall has fought all those tough fights. Wasn't necessarily big names, but they were good fighters. And JERMELL was just talented enough to get through the fire. But they have threw him out there to the wolves. But they haven't never thrown you out there to the wolves because they've been preserving you. But now that Canelo has lost, what you gonna do now? What you gonna do? And this is the thing. So when I see stuff like this, it just doesn't make sense to me. And then on top of that, you fanboys are set up. Why do you need to protect Jermall? And then it's obvious you guys don't know boxing. Because you got this one cat right here talking about, well, Jermall got something to do. He gonna fight Tim Tszyu. Everybody know that's his brother. Who don't know that? This just goes to show you how quick they are to fanboy but don't know the damn sport. So why are they opening their mouth in the first place? Why? It absolutely makes no sense. So I don't believe no back injury. Sorry, I don't. Not at all. But the point is, who are you going to fight? You about 4 years late on the Jacobs fight. Y'all keep downing Demetrius Andrade, where everybody know he's one of the most dangerous people out there. No, he's not one of the biggest names, but the credit you will get for doing that will put you in the conversations that you're trying to put yourself in by talking about Canelo. You only want to talk about Canelo. And you're petrified of David Benavidez. And like I say, if I'm so unfair, just look at David Benavidez and look at Jermall Charlo. David Benavidez calls out Canelo too, but he also calls you out and everybody else. He also calls Caleb Plant out and everybody else. That's the difference. That's what let people know that you on some BS. You got to stop being a thought for Canelo. Canelo's done. What you gonna do now? I'm surprised your brother don't kick you out of Lions Only, because what have you done that's lion-like? To be honest with you, you don't even have a main because you haven't showed it. And you had opportunities. When Jacob caught you in that hallway, y'all said it right there on camera. It's the same thing just like they got Errol Spence on camera with Terrence Bud Crawford. He said, okay, baby boy, road runner, you go ahead and handle your fight, and I go ahead and handle my fight. And then we gonna do it. Right after Daniel Jacobs won his fight, he called you out to the world. Charlo, let's get it. Next thing I know, you're doing an interview on Fight Hype drunk. Because that's the only time we see you hype is drunk. Talk about, yeah, the fight's eventually gonna happen. You know, I didn't lie to y'all. I just gotta fight who I gotta fight, but eventually the fight was gonna happen. How many years ago was that? So stop being a thought for Canelo Alvarez and actually do something. But I know I'm asking too much. I know y'all gonna call me a hater for just telling the truth. That's all I got on this fool. Like, comment, subscribe. Bruce Vane, I'm out.